Hello everyone, I'm your digital host, Tatyana White. Welcome back to another episode of the 48 Recap, the one-stop shop to catch up on some of the top news stories of the week, including Space Command moving to the Rocket City, a federal investigation into the City of Rainsville, new details on a wrongful death lawsuit of a Decatur man who died in police custody, a lawsuit filed against a former Killen police officer, and an update on the decrease in Alabama sales tax, and much more. I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend so far. Let's get into this weekend's recap. One of the top news stories this week was the big announcement about Space Command moving to the Rocket City. After 4 years of debate, delay, and political back and forth, the decision is final. U.S. Space Command headquarters is moving and coming to Huntsville from Colorado Springs. President Trump, for the second time since 2021, announced Huntsville will be the new permanent home of U.S. Space Command. Space Command was first established by President Trump this week, 6 years ago in 2019, in a ceremony in the Rose Garden. Its mission was to coordinate all U.S. military operations in space. This move cements Redstone Arsenal's place at the center of America's defense in space, protecting everything from our satellites to our national security. And now Huntsville is quickly preparing to be its headquarters.
But the best place for Space Command is Huntsville, Alabama. We have 40,000 people there. We have the FBI there. We have missile defense there. We have NASA, Blue Origin, and SpaceX. It is the perfect place for Space Command.
Tuesday's decision is a victory for Redstone Arsenal and truly spans the Tennessee Valley. Here's what we know so far. Space Command will bring around between 1,400 and 1,800 jobs. 1,000 will be military positions and the rest will be civilian ones. Officials said it will ultimately bring in thousands of jobs. It's important to note that service members have to move. Civilians do not, and not every civilian will relocate from Colorado, but the move will ultimately double the number of active duty service members currently at Redstone. We do not have a timeline yet as to when this will all happen. Our reporters covered this story all around Huntsville this week. We are asking many questions and hearing from officials about what this means for our city. 48's Faith Delp talked more about this big move with Mayor Tommy Battle.
Every city official that I spoke to today says this is a huge win for Huntsville. The mayor even said that this news was like Christmas to him, but challenges are expected as the Rocket City grows.
With Space Command or without Space Command, we're working on infrastructure day to day.
Mayor Battle says he's used to growth. Huntsville is constantly growing and the city is always working on upgrading roads and infrastructure. He says a few hundred more people won't change the plans already in motion to alleviate traffic in the city and into the arsenal.
Roads are always key, and we have put probably $500 million into roads over the past 7 years. So we're used to growth. We work with growth on a day-to-day basis, and we work very hard to make sure that we can bring that infrastructure into place so that we can continue to grow.
I sat down with City Councilman Bill Kling as President Trump announced this big news, and he says Huntsville is ready for this.
We're ready for the challenge. We got a great community, and we're going to be looking forward to new people coming to Huntsville, and we want them to feel like this is their home.
Not everyone who moves here for Space Command will live in Huntsville. Some will live outside of city limits in Madison County. County Commissioner Phil Vandiver says completing road projects isn't the concern, it's funding them, adding that it could be a few years before tax revenue catches up and commissioners can properly pay for every road project needed. But he says that's a challenge for another day. For now, he says to celebrate Space Command.
This is a good day. We just need to step back in a day or two and start trying to figure out our challenges with these roads and all and try to solve that.
Every leader I've talked to today echoed Commissioner Vandiver's sentiment, all saying that Space Command will only be good for our community. Reporting in Huntsville, Faith Delp, 48 News, on your side.
Another major factor with Space Command moving to Huntsville is the impact on the housing market. 48's Callie Meese spoke with officials from Legend Realty, and they said this could have a major impact on the housing market in the Rocket City.
State leaders say they're excited for this opportunity for Space Command to come to Huntsville. Representative Andy Witt told me this is about Space Command coming to its rightful home. Witt says there's a lot of work to be done to prepare for Space Command to come to the Redstone Arsenal. saying there is road work and infrastructure work that needs to be done. But he says Huntsville is up for the challenge.
We're certainly excited about the opportunity to have Space Command here in Huntsville and the Rocket City where it belongs. With that comes jobs, comes new opportunities, new growth.
However, John Evans from Legend Realty says the city of Huntsville is running out of land.
Land has become scarce in this area as you've seen the growth. And so the growth of Huntsville has expanded into some of those smaller communities where land is available.
Evans says this is great for those smaller communities' economy. He adds that he believes there will be enough housing for everyone coming to Huntsville, not just Space Command, but from the FBI and other expanding corporations and businesses in the area. He does warn the community, saying now is the time to buy.
We can expect, with all the growth that we're seeing, we can expect to see the demand be higher and the supply go down, because right now it's pretty balanced, but as we grow, there's going to be fewer opportunities to buy.
Evans adds that new builds have been the backbone of the real estate industry here in Huntsville for a while now, and he believes that's going to help house all the new families coming to the valley. Reporting in Huntsville, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
Local officials said around 3,000 local jobs over the next coming years will be coming to Huntsville when Space Command moves here on top of military personnel. Those local and state leaders went into more detail on Wednesday on what to expect for the next few years. Redstone Arsenal Deputy Garrison Commander Martin Traylor clarified that the majority of Space Command workers will live in the community and not on Redstone Arsenal. Traylor said they would like to have about 70% of newcomers buy or rent homes in the area, adding they don't anticipate a lot of rank and file workers to live on the Arsenal. He said the current plan is to start building a temporary and permanent base for Space Command on the Arsenal in fiscal year 2026, but it is ultimately up to Space Command leaders, not Arsenal officials. He said if they told them to start digging now, they would. Once construction begins, we will start to see people moving and working here.
Theoretically be operational here very, very quickly and under the 3-year timeline easily at Redstone. We're the Army, we're going to adjust to whatever we need to do. If they told me to execute tonight, we would absolutely execute that mission tonight.
Mayor Battle emphasized there will only be about 40 more people moving to Huntsville each year because of Space Command. Only about 1,400 people will be moving here from Colorado over 5 years, and Battle said many will live outside of the outside of the city limits. And this week, we've covered a few lawsuits, including the federal investigation into the City of Rainsville. The complaint that led to this investigation came from a Christian substance abuse recovery organization called Total Recovery Ministries. Its leaders said they were stopped from opening a recovery center in Rainsville for all the wrong reasons. Ryan Gardner is the attorney representing Total Recovery Ministries. He told 48 News that city leaders blocked his client's request for zoning changes they needed to open a recovery center in an effort to, quote, keep drug addicts away. People in substance abuse recovery are protected by the Americans with Disabilities Act. He said Total Recovery took their concerns to the Department of Justice. It's now investigating whether the city violated the group's civil rights. Gardner says Total Recovery's founder is a survivor of the same addiction issues of the people he is trying to help. He noted that people of faith and people in recovery have rights that the government has to honor.
As a government, you have an obligation to care for those who can't care for themselves, and the church is doing that very thing. But from a legal standpoint, it's equally troubling in that it shows that so many governments across the country do not appreciate the fundamental constitutional rights that people of faith have.
We did some digging and found Total Recovery already tried to appeal the zoning board's decision in court, but a judge agreed with the City of Rainsville's decision to deny their zoning change. 48 News has reached out to the city for comment, but no one has responded yet. An indicator, we learned shocking new details on a wrongful death lawsuit. John Scott Jr. died while in police custody earlier this year after his arrest during a mental health crisis. Scott's family attorney Lee Merritt told 48 News that Scott was drugged by his feet across a wet floor into a cell where he was left to suffocate on vomit and ultimately suffered the injuries that led to his death. This is footage from inside the Morgan County's jail after Scott's arrest in April. You can see officers dragging Scott through to the holding cell. While in the jail, he fell into a coma. He passed away days later. The wrongful death lawsuit was filed against the City of Decatur, the Morgan County Sheriff's Office, multiple officers, and the City of Priceville. According to the lawsuit, officers kicked, hit, punched, and beat Scott while also putting a hood over his head. Merritt said if Scott would have received medical care sooner, he would have had a better chance at surviving this ordeal. He says one officer hit Scott so often he injured himself.
And we see the abuse that took place during that. One officer broke his hand on LJ Scott's face, the only injury an officer sustained, punching him repeatedly with what they call distractionary strikes.
Merritt said they do not have a single cause of death just yet. And another lawsuit was filed this week accusing police of wrongdoing, this time in Lauderdale County. This lawsuit is against the town of Killen, and a former Killen police officer is now serving time in prison. A woman who was pulled over and forced to perform sex acts on former Killen police officer Jared Webster filed that suit against the town, police chief, and Webster himself. Webster is already serving time in prison after pleading guilty to this crime. In the lawsuit, the victim claims Webster turned off his body cam, handcuffed her in the backseat of a patrol car before threatening her with criminal charges if she did not perform sex acts. Her suit claims that Webster did this multiple times with other women around Killen as well, and she also claims police and city leaders knew about it and did nothing to stop him. And if you noticed a change in your grocery bill this week, that's because the Alabama sales tax on groceries went down 1%. And that's not the only thing Alabama shoppers are saving money on. 48's Faith Dub went to Star Supermarket and gives the latest on this bill and another bill that went into effect on Monday, eliminating sales tax on baby and feminine hygiene products.
Starting today, shoppers won't have to pay any sales tax on baby products or feminine hygiene products in Alabama. The two bills were passed in May and they both went into effect today. The last statewide grocery tax reduction in Alabama was in 2023 from 4% to 3%, and now it is down to 2%. But Alabama is one of just 10 states to charge a statewide sales tax on groceries. House Bill 152 eliminated tax on baby products, maternity clothes, and feminine products.
It's going to help me a lot. I know it would probably help a ton of other moms that are struggling also.
Brittany Green is a first-time mom and works full-time to provide for both her and her 7-month-old son. She says every penny counts.
It's hard to feed an entire household, especially just when it's two of you. It's also just hard. He is also on baby formula, baby food. Nobody talks about how much you spend on that. When you're digging for pennies, you know, it does start to add up.
Paul Leopard, who was grocery shopping today, heard about this reduction for the first time. He told me he is happy for parents who now don't have to pay taxes on baby food, diapers, and other necessities, and for those who struggle to pay for groceries constantly.
Well, less taxes is always good for everybody, right? I'm sure a lot of people that are struggling to pay for their groceries right now will really appreciate it. You know, every penny they can save, you know, it helps.
I also spoke to the manager here at Star Supermarket who didn't want to be on camera, but he did tell me if people didn't already know about the reduction, they would start to see a difference in their receipts soon. Reporting in Huntsville, Faith Delp, 48 News, on your side.
Yes, and that is just awesome news. Anything to just save a little bit of money. And coming up after the break, a sneak peek into stories coming up in our evening newscast, giving a look into some great events happening in the Huntsville and surrounding areas this weekend. All that and more when we come back. Hello everyone and welcome back to the 48 Recap. A few stories to look out for coming up in our evening newscast. A two-vehicle crash that happened on Friday has claimed the life of a Marbury man. The Alabama law enforcement agency said 21-year-old John Street was fatally injured when the car he was driving collided head-on with the dump truck. Street was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities said the dump truck driver was injured and transported to Marshall Medical Center North in Gunnersville for medical treatment. The crash happened on Union Grove Road near King Drive in Marshall County. Troopers with Aaliyah's Highway Patrol Division continue to investigate this accident. And the Shoals community is mourning the loss of beloved Shoals Community Theater General Manager Steve Price after they announced his passing. The Shoals Community Theater honored Price with the Facebook captioning it saying, quote, "With heavy hearts we share that our beloved friend Steve Price has passed away. Steve was quick with a smile, easygoing, and kind to all. His life and legacy will be remembered throughout the Shoals, within the music community, and of course here at the theater. We are deeply grateful for your prayers and support for Steve over these past several months, and we ask that you continue to lift his friends and family in your thoughts and prayers. Steve, loving you was easy, saying goodbye is so hard," end quote. Rest in peace, Steve. And tune into our evening newscast to hear more details on these stories and many others. And if you're looking for a good event to check out in the area this weekend, you can go out to see Three Dog Night and Little River Band perform live at the Orion Amphitheater. The Apollo South opens at 5 p.m. and doors open at 5:30 p.m. and the show starts at 7 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at theorionhuntsville.com. Launchpad is the official kickoff event to Huntsville Music Month and will be hosted today and tomorrow. This is a celebration of Huntsville's diverse and dynamic music scene throughout the entire month of September. The event is free to attend and guests are encouraged to bring lawn chairs or blankets. Food trucks and local vendors will be on site throughout the weekend. This year's lineup offers something for everyone and features a weekend full of high-powered performances across multiple genres delivered from exciting local, regional, and national artists. The event starts from 6 to 9:30 p.m. today and from 5 to 9 p.m. on Sunday. And stay tuned to HuntsvilleMusic.com and the Huntsville Music Office Facebook page for more announcements about events, showcases, panels, and pop-ups planned throughout all of September. And today, starting at 3 p.m., will also be the Rocket City Arts Dance Music Festival. It's a free event at the camp in Mid-City, and there will be lots of fun and incredible music, dancing, drinks, and food until 10 p.m. And there are just some great events happening in the city and surrounding areas this weekend, so be sure to go out, have fun, and check out some of these fun events. Check out Huntsville.org's event tab and WeAreHuntsville.com's event calendar to see more events happening in the area. That's all I have today for the 48 Recap. Thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to tune into 48's Weather Extra segments. Our meteorologists go live every Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. and every Saturday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Forecaster Jada Russell will join you all here at 4:30 this afternoon for another edition of Weather Extra, which is just another way to give you all extra insights on the latest weather forecast. Make sure to download our 48 apps and follow us on our Facebook and YouTube channels so you don't miss any updates on news and weather. And if you would like to stay connected with me throughout the week, please be sure to follow my Facebook page at Tatyana White, WAFF 48. Take care, everyone. I will see you all back here next Saturday. Have a wonderful and safe weekend, and I hope you all continue to have a great rest of your weekend.